Three, two.
Woo.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the 11th episode of Money Talks. I'm your host, Big Asset, here with Saltwater Bets.
Glad to be here. Very exciting.
Yes, sir. And this is our first stream from our new location for both of us, actually. We just moved and we had to take some time off. I didn't have internet. It got installed yesterday, and we are now able to stream. So it's been a crazy ride, but here we are, tired and excited for what comes next. We have obviously our indicators, just like we always do with every stream. So we'll quickly go over that. We got the S&P 500 here. As you can see, it took a little bit of a dip, and it's coming right back. As you can just see throughout the chart, little dips and continues to rise. It's going to be a common thread throughout the evening. NASDAQ is down to 14,997.5. The Dow Jones Industrial is up at 35,078. And I didn't bring up the precious metals because I've been setting up the live stream. I'll quickly get that up for you. And the internet's better now, so things will be a little bit faster. Here's gold. You can see it's kind of going down a little bit here. We're currently sitting at $1,786.10 per ounce. Next up, we have silver going down as well, continuing to have that downward trend. Currently sitting at $23.09 per ounce. Next, we have platinum going down, currently sitting at $1,010.50. And palladium, last but not least, again, a nice slide down there. As you can see, a huge dip, and finishing at $2,350. Cryptocurrency, we have our Bitcoin. If we look at the last month, currently sitting at $49,300 per Bitcoin. Still not the all-time high of 64,900, but it is on its way up. So that is your market trends for the week. So what do we got, Mr. Saltwater Bits? We've been working on some stuff. Well, more specifically you, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been working on a lot. I'll start off with going back to the vaccine stocks, specifically Moderna. And I guess I want to say I think we'd shift lawning for anyone that was maybe listening on the last stream and thinking about going long on these stocks. You have to really think that the evaluations would have to support going long on it. Maybe you could trade some stuff short term with the ongoing Delta variant, but some interesting things about the Delta variant is that, while the UK is really more vaccinated than we are, they really handled their peak already. So I wouldn't go too long on the whole Delta variant thing. That's at least my view. Like some analysts predict that whole Delta variant thing should be done here by, I think, like Labor Day weekend, 4 weeks after. So it's really not too far out. And even if other strands come, I'm not really seeing this being a super long-term thing carrying into the fall and winter, which you're saying. So, I mean, last time I looked at Moderna definitely had a really good run through early August. But lately, some evaluations with it they're saying a lot of people are experiencing like vertigo. They're unsure what to think of it because basically right now its valuation is saying it's more than Bristol Myers Squibb in every biotech firm in the world, which is huge, right? So, and I mean, you could take what analysts say with a grain of salt, but there is one basically that said in a note, to justify its market cap, you need to assume that Moderna would sell up, and this is just one quote I took from it, to 1.5 billion doses of its COVID-19 vaccine every year. So not just 1 year, every year for 2038, and that everything else in the company pipeline will make it to the market. So you're also banking on its supply chain, which is not the easiest to distribute even when they have it under control. And you have to hit peak annual sales of 30 billion. And then Moderna declined to comment on that. So I mean that's definitely interesting. So I mean like it has proven by doctors to be more effective against the Delta variant than Pfizer, but I think even Pfizer right now, lately, if you divide recently, it hasn't had the greatest performance. So I don't know. Like I guess on the vaccines, at least my opinion is that like with some of the evaluations, I think like tech, they're just overvalued. So
Right.
just revisiting that section, we'll start by saying I think tech might get corrected soon, um, but I'm more leaning towards these vaccine stocks. I don't know. At least I'm not long on them. That's how I like to open up this one.
Right. I think that baked into the price, because you always have to think about, why is one share of Moderna right now $382.98, right? Like, where does that price come from? A lot of it traditionally comes from the company's financials, their revenue generate, how they generate revenue, and just in general how they do business. But there is a lot of another aspect that can lead to a huge price increase, like what we see here, is like the news around the company or a product that they're rolling out. And people think that it's going to be really big for the company and transform their business model. So we were looking at GM, and they've gone up recently quite a bit because of their electric vehicle division, if you will, like getting into electric vehicles. So that to stock investors basically is like, hey, they're going to be on the cutting edge. They're going to be here, for a long time, and they're going to be securing their future with this new move. Now, for Moderna here, you can see that it's really peaked since COVID hit, because obviously the company was one of those people that developed, or one of those companies that developed a vaccine. So investors around that news got really hyped and ran up the price quite a bit. But like James was saying, it's not a long term. It's not feasible long term just because of where the price comes from, which is everyone being like, oh, they invented the vaccine, everybody's going to get doses, and they're going to make the world go around, basically. But at the end of the day, hopefully COVID, I'm saying hopefully, but COVID's a temporary thing, and Moderna could use all this new income to develop its R&D and focus on making new drugs, or they're going to falter in their innovation, and this will be basically their peak. So it's going to be interesting to see which direction all of this takes and how Moderna kind of sets himself apart. But I would not buy this for a long-term outlook just because of how high it is. So
Yeah, that's the thing is there's a lot of stocks that are high now, and I think fear-wise, people are a little bit more concerned about a correction happening. I mean, the VIX was up a little over 20 this past week, which it has not been in quite a bit throughout the whole summer. I mean, it really has to be like 30, 40 for it to really be very like fear-based market. So it's not like crazy that it went over 20, but corrections do happen in September. And if you're looking throughout the week, the markets, a lot of things are valued very high, like tech, I think. So I don't know. You got to be careful what you're buying now. And I just think that one, among the other ones we discussed, I just think there's better options out there. That's all. Because even the ones we bought, I mean, you are seeing, you're bound to see over all these years some volatility. Like I think the Starbucks, the Monsters we talked about, they go up $1, down $1 the next day. That's like typical for its beta compared against the market. But it's tough to tell if anything's going to drop $20 or, you know, we'll have to see.
Right. Yeah. So, Moderna, if I were to add this to my portfolio, or I were to look at possibly adding it, I'd probably stay away, just because the risk outweighs the reward. If you just look at where they were averaging before all of this, and again, if you're thinking that COVID's temporary, then they're probably not going to stay at the $400 range. It's just impossible, because it's like when a company blows up on one product, but that one product they can't replicate. You know what I mean? Like, because COVID was a pandemic, and it was kind of one of those things that they wanted to rush out, and they didn't care how much they were basically paying for it. That's where they got a lot of money and hype from. But when that black swan event, if you will, disappears, and they no longer have that huge base of revenue, once COVID's done, they're not going to be able to sell COVID shots like they were. Then that's going to really affect their company and their business model as far as stock investors are concerned, unless, of course, they were to develop like a cure to cancer, or in all forms of cancer, or like something where it's a age-old problem for people, and they somehow figure out a medicine to fix it. So
yeah, and that transitions to our next thing. Is like, we're basically trying to, when you're investing in these stocks, trying to beat everyone's in the market, because at this point, the people that bought Moderna at the right time are selling it now, and articles are coming out hyping it up, where they know it's pretty much a wash at this point for their long-term outlook, and then they're getting their gains from selling it and dumping it into whatever's going to be the next thing in the next 3 to 5 years and all that. And I think a good defense one, now that things are shifting, defense is another good one to get into with all the Afghanistan events, technology consulting. Booz Allen Hamilton looks like a very good stock to look at tonight.
Yeah,
it's one of those. BAH is the ticker.
BAH.
So this is an interesting one, because they said they're capable of generating 9 to 10% annual growth. So this is what we'd like to see. And I think it's revenue and yearly gains of 15 to 16% in earnings. And this is in line with its historic performance. If you're looking at a chart, this isn't like outlandish statements. If you look at a Yahoo Finance, this has gotten nothing but up. And then it's also a buying opportunity, because it's valued currently less than 20 times earnings. So if you look at BAH and Yahoo Finance right now, Booz Allen Hamilton, this is undervalued, right? That's exactly what it says in Yahoo Finance. You barely see that. 20% estimated return. I mean, it's bearish on the long term, but it's at this price, it's looking pretty good. This is definitely looking interesting. I think analysts tend to be overweight, which means it's just performing others in the sector. They're not saying like it's exactly a strong buy, so you could wait for this one a bit, especially because the market, it is a little uncertain right now. I think it's priced at 82 a share, and if we're looking back in February, a little bit lower at 77, 78 would probably be still a better price to pay for it. 52 weeks, 74. So you could wait a little bit to maybe get it at 80 or a little lower. But I mean, you're kind of pension, penny pinching at that point. I think it's got room. Overall, it's grown. It's never really went down. If you look at its all-time history.
Yeah, and I'll pull that up here. Oh no, it's already up, Max. But yeah, man. I mean, with everything going on in Afghanistan, obviously it's it's very sad, everything, and the chaos that's going on, and the handling of certain things. But you have to look at situations and kind of, as far as investing, because your personal beliefs or your emotions in a situation can be one thing, but when it comes to investing, it's another mindset. So because we're going to be deploying troops back to Afghanistan, you can almost guarantee it. Defense companies, like we've been saying, they're going to be going up because that's what generates revenue. So yeah, it's definitely a good buy, especially if you're just looking at the overall growth of the stock since I think they started in 2010.
Yeah, they started in 2010, and like they said, the revenue and annual growth supports its historic performance there. And
Right.
again, it's a large cap, so like the risk of taking this on is definitely better than if you're to go small caps. So, while the growth potential isn't as big, I mean, its beta is 0.71. I mean, it means it's not much more volatile than the market. It's pretty low beta. P ratio is 19, so nothing stands out like, ooh, this is a red flag or this might be risky. This overall, everything looks pretty good.
Yep. Yeah, so I would definitely pick this up and add it to my portfolio because it's definitely at a buy right now, in my opinion. With all the news and everything, it's going to go up coming up.
Yeah, and I think it's a good one to have in the portfolio too. I think just defense and government's always a solid one to have in there versus I think it's very easy to replace a vaccine one long term. I think this is definitely a more steady one to have in there. I know we kind of touched on foods and drinks, so moving away from it, this is a nice one, I think.
Yeah, exploring different sectors.
Yeah, and it pays a dividend. Not much, but 1.80. So for you dividend lovers, there is your dividend.
You can get a dividend with this stock, and it has growth potential.
The ultimate package right there.
Yeah. All right.
Let me see. That's that one.
I'm just going to pull up Space right now because I haven't really been able to keep an eye on it.
Oh, yeah. Maybe we can do that.
Yeah, just taking a quick look. Yep. Yeah, it got downgraded to like $25 a share, which was great. And I love it too. As soon as it starts like kind of leveling out and going up, and then it's just like up $25 a share. It's like, damn you, Morgan Stanley.
Morgan Stanley.
Yeah,
the analyst rating.
Yeah, got to shove their opinion in it. But yep. I mean, honestly, if this were to fall to $20 a share, I'll probably buy more of it. For one, even out the cost per share average, but also get those gains once it comes back up. So.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking into the space industry, I mean, like I watched one analyst video on this, and analysts could always be wrong. Like, which I just like tend to follow them for a second opinion, but they could always be completely wrong, like anyone else. But at least in terms of aerospace stocks, looking towards the future, the ones that are going to have the most growth are the ones that are doing launches, right? Versus some of the other ones that could be way far out there. So right now, I mean, this is really one that's already out there. It's already doing launches. It's an easy one. Like if you truly believe in that portfolio in space, it makes sense to just have that in your portfolio. But there's really no ones to invest in yet. So unless you're really patient, you want to hold out for some of the other players to come into the market. I really don't know of any other ones out there. So,
right.
If you're in it for the next 5 to 10 years, it could, who knows? But that's the tricky part, is really not looking at it, and then, unless something really alarming comes up or you have to sell it, you're pretty much just going to be sitting on that potential gain.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
But who knows? It could be like, one of these things where it's hundreds of dollars 5 years from now. Never know.
Yeah, the next Tesla where they were like $50, $100, and then it like skyrocketed to like 2,000.
Yeah, I mean that's what everyone's looking for, is like this one where it's like selling pretty decent, like Tesla was back at 60 or whatever it was. People are like, nah. And it's the summer is like $800, $600. That's why people are looking at space towards the next Tesla or whatever.
Right. And I think that it's going to have that growth eventually, but yeah, you just got to hold your nuggets, as it were. I think
Yeah,
when I think once we start making like T-shirts and like designs and stuff, you got to hold your nuggets, and it has like the downward trend. Hold your nuggets,
yeah,
and it's like a
hold
downward
your
trend.
nuggets. You really just have to be in it, and like I said, unless real something really alarming comes out, you have to like read up on everything and be like, all right, I really believe that growth will support this company. And unless it goes to a price you really think it's worth pulling out your capital based on whatever you need at that stage in life, then go ahead and do it. But if this is truly like, you're like, all right, my investment time horizon is just to really, in the next 5 years or next 10 years, just have a bunch of gains by then, you just got to like withstand the bumps. I mean, just don't even check it. So I know I've been doing it. That's like a bad habit with like Starbucks and some of the other ones I already bought. But I'm like, you've only held it for 2 weeks. Like, you're just looking at volatility. I mean, some of those stocks like Monster Energy, God forbid, were to go up to $200 in 2 to 3 years. When I got it at whatever whatever it is right now, like 90 whatever, I'd be fucking thrilled. But that requires peace of mind and all that, just not checking it every day. So gotta hold the nuggets.
Just got to hold your nuggies. Hold the nuggies.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's especially because there's not too many companies I think are coming along right now that really look like attractive buys. These things do tend to look overvalued on their charts. So for the ones that we are looking at, I mean, it takes a lot to find some ones that we think are good buys here. I mean, I think some people might look at like the whole infrastructure bill as some stocks like Caterpillar to invest in, but a lot of people think these ones already gained their advantages from them. So you could maybe add those to your portfolio based on the whole industrial bill being passed, but I don't know if those will be so hot in the next year or two. Could be something nice to hold on to, but I don't think I think whatever happened there, it's already happened.
Right. I'm just trying to think about like what other industries, because obviously we talked about the defense, but right now it's such a question mark. Like
Yeah,
nothing's
because
defined.
nothing's defined. And I mean, I think inflation and how they're going to borrow from the central bank and all that, even the Fed's confused. I mean, it's just a lot of confusion for everyone. Now one is one industry that's interesting is the dating industry. I think we've covered food and all that, but find me somebody to love, right? Everyone needs sex, just like food, unless you're one of those asexual human beings out there. Bumble's one I've watched since the IPO, and that's interesting because it was like 75, got tanked down to 61. I'm like, oh boy, that was just from February to March. And then it kind of resurged at 68 and all that. I'm like, and went all the way down to $40 in May. And now it's at 48 come August. So this one's like interesting. It went back up to 58, down to 49. I think Tinder's in the Match.com portfolio. So, I mean, I think it's really going up a behemoth. But what do you think? What do you think of this Bumble dating stock portfolio?
Well, I growing up in the late 90s, being born in the late 90s, growing up in the early 2000s, I'm pretty sure we both watched it around Christmas time, but a certain movie called, or was it Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, like the animated?
Yeah.
Right. So in that movie, there's a creature. It's called the Bumble, right? And the whole thing is when a Bumble falls, it bounces.
They bounce.
Right.
Right.
So I think that this Bumble is currently falling, but I think that it'll bounce back up um, at some time because our good friend Cornelius Yukon or whatever his name is, Bumble's bounce. So I think that's what we're gonna see here. It's starting to like look at like it's leveling off here, but it's such a short term thing to try to gather any data from. I mean, it just went public,
Yep.
like February 2021. So, it hasn't even, well, it's been 6 months just now. A few days ago, it was 6 months. So, I think it's going to level out a little bit here. It might drop a little further down. But I think that once it kind of reaches its floor, it'll take off after that point because that's normally what I see during IPOs. Like, let's just bring up Uber. Because I did a project on this IPO during a business law class. So right off the rip, like it was kind of, meh. And then, or no, where was it? Was it this? Was it really that long ago? Oh, no, this is Ubert. I wanted the Uber. Thank you for actually bringing up the right stock. I was just like, wait, 2017, that's not right. So, yeah. Minus this section. What happened was IPO launched, kind of like became hot a little bit, and then it just tanked. And then it came up a little bit, tanked, right? But it started kind of like leveling off here, as you can see. And then it kind of took off. It hit a peak over here. And right now it's falling. I'm not too sure why it's falling. I'd have to look up the news on it. But for a lot of IPOs, they'll start off high and they'll dip. And then dead cat bounce a little high and then drop back down. Level out. And, it shouldn't go up after that. But as far as Bumble, going back to that.
See, I don't know because it's going up against a lot, so I'm not sure. That's interesting.
Like, I think in the next 6 months, it'll go up.
Yeah.
That's my prediction.
It's interesting. Trying to look at revenue and stuff. I mean, Match Group is its competitor, which I think has a bunch, but
What if they got bought out?
yeah, MTCH, but that looks overvalued. This is an interesting one. I don't know if I know enough yet to really have an opinion on it.
What was the Match Group?
MTCH, but I mean, that doesn't look, I don't know if the ship has already been established for that. This is more interesting because it's kind of new.
Yeah, I mean, you could see that COVID bump. Got one hell of a COVID pump, I can tell you that much.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because obviously 2020 has been a really shitty year for dating, so you wonder long term, would it pick up? If we're going on industries that can grow, right?
Right. Right now, I'd probably play it short just because, I mean, it's dropping so severely. I could see it dropping below the 125 mark, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think maybe bearish in the short term. Next 6 months, but maybe after we'll have to revisit the dating industry.
Just like in real life.
Yeah, yeah, it's been pretty bearish my whole life.
It's nothing but gone downhill from here.
Yeah, it's been the worst stock ever, worst ETF, the basket of investments, all gone sour.
But
But none of them paid dividends. So you know what? That's your lesson. Just
yep,
go for those ones that pay you a dividend.
yeah. Always look for the girls that, well, in our case, girls, but always look for the significant other that will pay dividends.
Yep. All bought at overvalued. But other than that, I'm trying to think what else here.
What is MC?
I'm trying to revisit some of the other stocks. We haven't really seen. I think I bought everything but Diageo, I think, and forgetting how to pronounce it. The McDonald's stock I did not buy. But that's looking to be, even among blood in the water McDonald's, this thing's still holding up.
Yep. Yeah, it looks like they're just going to continue to go up.
Yeah. Even Motley Fool, free top stocks that are cash cows. There you go.
Cash cow. Is there something like the Molly Fool or whatever where they're like, oh, I wish I'd gotten into this stock. That's what people are telling me now when I told them to get into Amazon. Isn't
Yeah.
that one?
It's a pretty shitty site, but I kind of laugh when I do see something. It's like, what stocks are they buying now? And they try to suck you into like buying their subscription. But it's tough to find anything that's a lot. I mean, I always like going to the screeners, quickly see any things that might be undervalued. Let's see. A lot of things right now just don't have the best buy. I'm looking.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of tension in the market with the Afghanistan, Delta, like just a lot of things that are coming up where people aren't too certain with the market and overall faith in the financial institutions.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that's pretty accurate. I mean, right now people are. I don't think you're gonna see peak growth or anything. It's more fear.
It's just so hard to like make call because there's been so much growth where it's like eventually it's gonna fall, eventually it's gonna fall, but
Yeah, and for a lot of them, there hasn't been the theme of some of these where it's just keep saying that, but so far so good, as they say. It is quite interesting. Trying to think.
we could look at the normal ones like Visa, good old reliable.
Yeah. Mhm.
Oh, Visa taking a hit.
Yeah, some are definitely getting a little spank.
Yeah. Do you happen to know, since you're kind of in the financial institution sector, like anything about why Visa might be dropping?
I think the banks and all these credit card payment things tend to follow like the theme of the market. So like lately, I think since it's more like fear based, that's certainly affecting it. As far as other factors, I'm not quite sure. I mean, it's tough to really say. I mean, it could be with Visa. I mean, I think some people like Moderna just think it's overvalued at what it is. They're just struggling with its evaluation, so it's tough to really say. Because I think people are in between where they're just trying to think if now's a good buy or if it's overvalued or if this is gonna like just continue to rocket. Like people just don't know.
Right. I mean, it looks like a pretty solid dip, like what they saw back in early 2021. Maybe it was. Oh, you know what? I bet it was their dividends when they released their financial statement. They
Yeah,
probably
it's
didn't do
usually
great.
off of earning. Yeah, it's usually most of these stocks are like earnings comes out. That's really what affects it. So that makes sense. Yeah, but some Visa, I mean, I have read that like these are basically some people think that they've already um, grown where there's some better players that are smaller to go after at this point, but I don't even know if that's accurate.
Yeah, I'd let it play out a little bit. Let it fall, and then buy back in because I think overall it's going to continue going up as it's been. So
I mean, a huge part of the banks or like the financial institutions, I think they're like around the top 43 overall for industries, but a lot of it's the Fed's decision to keep near zero rates. I mean, that's really helps the banks right now. So, depending on what happens with the Fed is very reliant on how I think these bank stocks perform. I mean, I think the approval of the stimulus and all that certainly helped a lot of these stocks as well.
yeah, yeah, it's the Fed really holds all the power when it comes, especially to the financial institutions and the market in general. But uh, I mean, it's kind of at their mercy, so to speak. So
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's gonna be interesting to see if I mean we haven't even had a year under the new presidency, so to see if they have like a focus on the economics or what their policies are going to be leaning towards. So
Yeah, exactly. One of these are you just have to sit back. I have to sit back a little bit. I'm really trying to look at any other ones, but right now it's tough to see. Maybe some ETFs, maybe. I mean, I know one article is interesting that they're talking about healthcare in China, like virtual healthcare is supposed to go up tremendously. So there's an ARC ETF. I read in one article that was being recommended. Um, so that would be interesting here to look at that. But
is that like just a general market, or are we talking like an individual?
yeah, I think it's a thematic electron ETF. Let me just see. Or actually, that might be under a different. Yeah, so you can disregard that. I mean, it looks like there is a ticker for it, but we'll stick to stocks in this. That we've really been doing here.
Yeah, at some point we should go over that kind of stuff, but we'll have to
Yeah,
plan it.
we could do a different different stream for ETFs and maybe mutual funds. We'll look at. For now, let's keep it the plain old stocks.
Yes, sir. Well, let's do one more, or a couple more. and then we'll hop off for the night because I'm tired and I have not eaten all day.
Yep.
My own fault on that one, but I've just been so busy. But I have Apple pulled up, and it skyrocketed after their dividend, like just whoop. But I feel like it's gonna come back down, and the analysts are saying bearish. Um, but who knows? I mean, Apple's just one of those companies that it'll always be going up. Um, Even if it's going down, it's going to be going back up. But who knows? Maybe investors continue with the momentum and continue to make it go up, or maybe some market factors bring it back down. I don't know.
Yeah. That one's interesting. Let me see if I can find any. I'm looking at most shorted stocks right now, seeing if there's any interesting ones in that. Macy's, that's funny.
What about Macy's?
It's one of the most short. It's crazy out at $22 now. A few months ago, it's at 17, 19. That is funny. I mean, they did see it's probably going off of retail consumer spending is up for as a whole. It's been doing very well.
Oh yeah, they look like they've been really taking it since like 2016.
Yeah. Oh, you know what's interesting? The Lovesac company. I own one of these, and they are fucking amazing. Um, they're like the most comfortable thing ever, and it's one of the most shorted stocks. Near fair value, 30 free estimated return, but everyone's bearish on it right now. It's like the greatest product. Wow, 1.4 buy rating. That's pretty awesome. So the hashtag is, the ticker is LOVE, LOVE. And for you people that don't know, it is a massive beanbag. Like it's a beanbag, but it's compression. So like it's not something you inflate like with air. It's all like just this memory foam that you sink into. And they have all different seat options. They have 2 people, 1 people, 4 people. They sell a L-shaped couch. They have the cases where you can shrink it down. You can travel with it. So they have different cases that you can buy, like hundreds. So I think as like a growth model, like it's not just it's just one beanbag and how are they supposed to grow? Like they do have all that. And stock's interesting because like right off the bat, I mean, I just love it based off the product, but this is interesting now actually seeing the ratings and stuff on it. Beta is pretty high, but I mean, I don't know for the industry or the PE, but I'd have to go look at this one. What are people saying about it?
I just love the name of the company. I'm just gonna put it out there.
Yeah, fucking great, great product, great name. Yeah, 2 dirt cheap stocks that could skyrocket. NASDAQ, free under the radar stocks that can go to the moon. Well, we're already loving the news about it. So let's see. Here's another one. Why hedge funds love. What is this one? Were hedge funds right about the Lovesac company? Let's see. 4 weeks ago. Interesting article. So it looks like a good amount of hedge funds picked it up in the last year. Even though they're attributing a lot of money managers to the growth of it, but it's all pretty good. I mean, everything looks pretty good, the news surrounding it.
That might
Now
be. Was it?
I just want to go look at its overall chart now. So this is interesting. In the last 5 days, it went from 62 to 51. That's pretty significant in the last 5 days with a 52-week low of 22. So this is something I'm very interested in, but for it to drop, I think 62 to 51, $11 in the last 5 days. I might have to just put it on the watch list and watch it closely.
I mean, do you think that it's going to continue the severe drop that it's currently on, or do you think that it's going to recover soon?
And see, 6 months ago is at $60, and then at 6 months ago it's at 54. So that's not too bad. I mean, there's a point in June 11th it's at 91. So I mean, that's interesting. It's kind of right back to where it was in February of last year. So I mean, if you're going for its max, company in 2018 was at 20. Looks like it went up to 43 in 2019, went all the way down to COVID hit $4, and all the way back up to 90. So I mean, this one's interesting. I mean, it looks like the hedge fund portfolios are kind of picking up it, but maybe, what does it say here? It's near fair value, so I kind of agree with that. Like, it's getting near fair value, so maybe you might want to wait till, put it on a watch list and see where it goes.
Right.
The buy rating's amazing, but its actual value right now, you might be able to get it at a better price.
Right. I would hold off personally and just kind of see where it goes and develops, and if the momentum shifts, I'd get into it and ride it up.
Yeah, because I mean, that you want to talk about growth. I mean, that growth, just from all the articles and everything, looks really good. Like, again, I have to love the product. The product's amazing. So it's more maybe of their getting their advertising out and making it more well known, because anyone that sees it or tries it out like wants it. That comes over. So I mean, maybe that's what's holding it back, but be an interesting one.
Right. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check them out. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. So I mean, we haven't covered furniture. That's their like first furniture stock, and I mean, I think on Yahoo Finance that was the highest buy rating we've ever seen at 1.4. So it's certainly interesting.
Yeah. No, definitely. So, I think that'll wrap it up. Those were some good stocks. We definitely covered new industries, stuff that we haven't covered before, and talked a little bit about the news. And I just want to reiterate to everyone, as we do at the end of every stream, this is our opinions, and clearly we're making our best judgment of a stock that we see. Now we're reading the Barron's newspapers, financial analytics, and actually going through information, as well as like the momentum side of it, and trying to judge the market to see how things are doing. But it's all our opinion. We definitely suggest that you go out, listen to another opinion or another voice, and do your own research, read the Barron's yourself or articles, and make your best decision for your investments. And it's just another source of information for you. So with that, that will end it. I just wanted to wish everyone a happy Sunday and a good evening, and be safe in the market this week. And we'll see how Afghanistan and other emerging things are going to affect the markets, and that should reveal itself in the next couple of weeks. So we'll keep an eye on it, and we will see you guys on Wednesday. Have a good night, everybody.
See you then.